Russia is currently at war in one of the most brutal conflicts of the 21st century, Syria. It all began in 2015 when Russian forces deployed into Syria to back President al-Assad against a swift defeat from rebel forces. Yet this action shocked many within the international audience, for it was long believed that Moscow would be unwilling to call upon its military to act beyond its regional position. In 1991, the Soviet Union collapsed. Russia's economy was in shambles, as was its government. When President Boris Yeltsin unexpectedly resigned from his position in 1999, his successor, Vladimir Putin, inherited a negative 5% annual economic decline. Although the Russian Federation inherited a massive military, there's no money to pay for it. Yet under Putin, in just 2 years, Russia's economy rose to a positive 10% growth rate. With a massive boost in the Russian economy, military spending similarly skyrocketed from $8 billion a year in the year 2000 to over $50 billion in the year 2008. It was along with this drastic boom in military spending that Moscow began to participate more actively in international affairs, invading and annexing Crimea in 2014, as well as backing al-Assad and his government forces in Syria with Russian airstrikes in 2015. Russia's military growth has given Putin the ability to enforce his bold stance for Russian national interests abroad. By appearing strong and willing to fight tooth and nail to protect Russia's sovereignty, Putin has garnered widespread support and cemented his legitimacy among the Russian people. Overall, Russia's militaristic ambitions have been in the interest of cementing the country's position as a great power in opposition to Western influence, which has long rivaled Russia's global presence.
Yet behind the jaws of Moscow's fierce and nationalistic foreign policy, Russia's domestic policy is far less ambitious. The authoritarian regime's crackdown on political dissidents and minorities demonstrates a lack of care for the welfare of the Russian population as it seeks to consolidate its own power. Rising civic activism was met with bans, new repressive laws, and prosecutions. Opposition candidates were excluded from elections. Environmental activists were harassed and prosecuted by police. New restrictions to online speech and the internet show growing repression of individual expression. Similarly, the authorities have worked toward suppressing the voices of journalists who are critical of government policies. Despite the Russian Constitution's guaranteed protection of freedom of religion, the government continues to persecute members of religious groups labeled as extremist, such as Jehovah's Witnesses, who pose a threat to the political legitimacy of the Kremlin due to the difficulty that comes with controlling them and their non-political stance. Meanwhile, police in Chechnya carried out detentions and beatings of men accused of being homosexual, and new laws restricting so-called gay propaganda and the adoption of children by same-sex couples represents a decline in LGBTQ rights. Additionally, Putin's subtle promotion of a national ethnically Russian identity correlates with the rise of far-right extremism and widespread xenophobia, resulting in race riots and anti-immigration sentiments among ordinary Russian citizens. Despite immigration policies that make it exceedingly difficult for refugees and migrants to stay in the country, Russia's population is in negative growth, being projected to lose 1.2 million people in the next 4 years. Factors that are attributed to this phenomenon include a high mortality rate, which is to be blamed on an insufficient healthcare system, as well as a fertility rate of only 1.4, among the world's lowest. Russia's economy is also shrinking, currently in the midst of another recession. Although Russia's economy did enjoy significant growth under Putin's first 2 terms in office, his policy of becoming Europe's chief hydrocarbon supplier became less effective as Europe moved away from fossil fuel spending as well as Russian supply. After a brief recovery from the 2009 recession, the fall of oil prices in 2014 plummeted the value of the Russian ruble, sending the Russian economy into turmoil once more, with an economy that currently sits at only 2.5% annual growth. Even Russia's arms export business, one that has historically only been behind the United States, is shrinking as new competitors, such as China, arise. And as Russia's economic power decreases, so does its military spending. With the massive rearmament programs of the 2000s producing dozens of warships and numerous vehicles, Russia's situation is beginning to appear similar to those of the aftermath of the Soviet Union, albeit on a much smaller scale, where it owns a much larger military than it can maintain effectively in the near future.
Yet, despite Putin's image for Russia's nationalistic identity being ultimately harmful, various forms of economic and political reforms are already being discussed in circles who oppose Putin's authoritarian regime. Although Russia's position as a small superpower is to be questioned as its economy dwindles, Russia will maintain its status as a powerful regional power for the foreseeable future.